You travel in the south of Morocco, nearby Ouarzazate or Taroudanat, or even in the Moroccan deserts, you come across very beautiful castles. We call them qasba, that were built entirely out of mud. And somehow they've been existing for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's not new, it's very old, but we are rediscovering it.
Welcome back to Wise on Air, the show where we talk to the world's leading minds on the future of education. My name is Bassem Hijazi, producer of the show. As climate urgency grows and housing demands stretch the limits of modern infrastructure, a pressing question arises. Are we teaching the next generation to build sustainably? In architecture and engineering classrooms around the world, students study concrete, steel, and glass. But what if the future lies in materials far older and far more sustainable? In a world racing towards innovation, could traditional building wisdom offer the blueprint we've been missing? Our guest today brings answers shaped by both engineering and ancestral knowledge. Youness Ouazri is the founder and CEO of Ecodome Morocco, a pioneering company reviving ancient earthen construction techniques and adapting them to modern standards. From the deserts of Morocco to the drawing boards of young architects, his work bridges the past and future of building sustainably. Through hands-on learning and deep community engagement, Youness is not only reshaping how we build, but how we teach others to build. In this episode, Dennis Samet from WISE speaks with Youness about how education systems can better incorporate sustainable techniques, why hands-on training is essential, and how traditional methods might just be the most resilient solutions in our climate-challenged world.
Welcome on Wise on Air. Tonight we have with us Youness Ouazri. Nice to have you, and thank you for taking some time to join us for this episode. I would like to first ask you a few questions regarding your background in engineering. So, how did your formal engineering education prepare you or fail to prepare you for working with traditional earth-building techniques?
First, I would like to thank you for the invitation. And in regards of your question, it is actually correlated to my master degree journey. I started this project when I was still an engineering student at an engineering school called École Hassani des Travaux Publics in Casablanca in Morocco. And while I was doing my master degree in civil engineering, I used to do a lot of associative work. And through that associative work, I got the chance to travel a lot, mainly into the Moroccan villages. And that's where I came across this very rich patrimony when we talk about constructing using earth. And I said with my team back then, why not try to revive that old patrimony while adjusting it to different regulations, rules, and norms that we have in the construction field, and also explore what we are learning as a civil engineers so that we can come up with the concepts that is using this vernacular methods of construction and at the same time can bring all the amenities and commodities, modern amenities and modern commodities that we have nowadays. Mm-hmm. And that's how when we get this, what we call the diklik, or we have fallen in love.
So by going around different villages, you were inspired to use basically earth to create sustainable buildings.
Exactly.
Correct?
And we wanted to revive it in a manner that it respects all the regulations. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the context of Morocco, there are only two main regulations. There is the seismic one, because as you know that's the northern countries in Africa. It's an area that is very active from a seismic point of view. Mm-hmm. And there's the second regulation, which is the thermal one. So how we can create a building that is very efficient in terms of energy consumption.
Yeah.
So based on this, we started doing some research and looking on manners and ways how we can adjust this earthen construction techniques into modern, let's say, lifestyle.
Yeah. That's nice. So, what crucial sustainability lessons have you learned from traditional Moroccan building methods?
There are many lessons, actually. I think that the first one is how to be humble enough in order to observe, because we can learn from everyone around us, from a simple agriculture, from a simple mason, from an ancestor or a grandfather who's doing a certain way of doing things. And once you give yourself the chance to observe and to try to understand why we're doing this certain type of practice in this certain manner, you start understanding that our ancestors used to know how to deal with nature and how to go with the flow. So that was the first lesson, is that coming from a prestigious school, let's say, we often are thought that we are the best in what we are doing. So
Mhm.
once you grasp this notion of
Yeah.
being humble and observe your surrounding, you start getting other notions from the people that are around you.
It's yeah.
That was the first lesson. The second one, once you go deep down into traditional practices, in my case, when I talk about earthen construction and ecological construction, you start discovering that it makes sense. I mean, earth is a material that we find in abundance wherever we go. It is beneath our feet, and when you are building a house or a building for a certain use using this abundant material, it is a building that fits into the landscape, fits into the weather conditions, even culturally it fits. Even when we're talking about the fauna and the flora, the animals, you don't change the sense, you don't change the sight, you don't change the colors of the place that you are working on, and you're creating something that's go in harmony with that place. So you're not damaging it with an intrusive material such as concrete or steel. There is also a third lesson that I might share, is that we need to change the our perception towards the old techniques. We can always, if we put enough efforts and enough investments and enough time, adjust those old techniques to our modern lives and get the benefits of both.
Mhm.
The advantages of what our ancestors used to do, and also the advantages of the modern life.
Exactly, exactly. But learning from the best things that they've done.
Exactly.
So, talking about ancestors and ancient buildings, how relevant is ancient building wisdom in today's modern construction standards?
I'm gonna put the scientific hat, and I'm gonna talk in KPIs. For instance, when we talk about the advantages that we can get through the earthen construction, we can measure them through 2 or 3 KPIs. The first one is the number of kilowatt hour that we can reduce, because when we talk about earth to stone as a main raw material for building, we are talking about the thermal inertia. And if we dimension the thickness of the exterior wall correctly according to the weather conditions, we can reduce the energy bill towards heating and cooling up to 50 to 60% in a natural manner. The second KPI is the carbon footprint. It is a subject that everyone is talking about, and it is correlated directly to the climate change. Knowing that the construction sector is the second most producing of CO2 sector in the world after the sector of transportation. And the fact of proposing an alternative solution based on natural resources and natural local raw material can drop this carbon footprint up to 80 to 90%. Why is that? Because first, we are eliminating the logistics
Mhm.
to bring raw materials from point A to point B on the construction site. And the second thing is that we are taking nearly all the raw materials that are needed to build on site and transforming them on site without bringing any cement or any other hydraulic benders.
Mm. I love the scientific evidence, honestly. And yes, you said that the first reason behind the high carbon emission is transportation. So eliminating that would solve half of the problem, basically.
Yeah, and there is also a third KPI in regards of hygrometry, which means how we can control humidity percentages in the inside of the building. And this is directly linked to our health and to the quality of breathing in the inside of the house. When you are building using earth or using stone, earth itself and stone itself, they are alive materials, they
Mhm.
can breathe. And when we talk about a material that is alive, it has the ability to absorb humidity when needed, and also provide humidity when needed. And this, in a direct manner, it gives us a better breathing qualities, a better quality of sleeping, and also a better quality of living inside of these houses. So also the bill of visiting doctors on the midterm and long term get reduced.
Yeah, basically using the environment for your advantage in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
And I feel like it reminds me of like hunter gatherers used to live like around the environment. So now we're back to that. And seeing that we're in Msherab, the city of Doha and the sustainable city, what's your opinion on the infrastructure and how they're using basically natural resources to conserve energy?
I like the mixture. There is a mixture between very ancient methods of building with very modern infrastructure. I mean, when I first look at it, I mean there are buildings on both sides, and through those buildings there is a tramway, a very modern one,
Mhm.
which is a very beautiful and harmonious blend. And maybe if we manage to duplicate this all over Doha, because Doha, anciently speaking, it used to be one of the ancient ports of the region, and there was a know-how of building all the facilities in order to explode that port. So if we manage to duplicate this model of combining between super modern infrastructure while keeping that identity of our ancestors, I think that is going to be an incredible something to see.
Yes, I agree. And even trying to utilize as much natural resources as possible and embed them into even modern infrastructure. Like you can have a combination of both. But that brings me to my next question, which is how do communities respond when they first encounter your earth dome structures?
This is a tough question because when we first started, we started Ecodon Maroc in 2014. And back then, when we went to get the permits in order to construct our first building, the local authorities asked for a concrete plan while we were proposing a 100 earthen house to build, which was paradoxal. And also, towards the community, we felt that there was a sort of resistance because there's this common misconception towards the material earth, like if it is a very fragile material. So we needed first to work on the mindset, on the perception towards this material, and to showcase various examples all over Morocco. When you travel in the south of Morocco, nearby Ouarzazate or Taroudanat, or even in the Moroccan deserts, you come across very beautiful castles. We call them qasba, that were built entirely out of mud, and somehow they've been existing for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So this fragile aspect of the material earth got eliminated.
Mhm.
And also we wanted to create first prototypes and organize events around them so that people can come and visit, through some water on the walls to see whether it's going to infiltrate or not,
Yeah.
hit the wall to see if it's going to fail or not, do
Yeah.
all the necessary and basic experimentation
Yeah.
so that they can test by themselves the
Yeah.
tenacity of this material
I
earth.
think it's human nature to resist anything that's new.
Yeah.
And
It's not new, it's very old,
yeah.
but we are rediscovering it. So once we did those events, we managed to have our first clients. And once we finished its house, he became an ambassador of our work because he was so satisfied with the work that we have done, and himself started convincing other friends and other people in his surroundings so that they can build using our techniques. And from there, the news started spreading, ear to mouth to ear, and we started growing in an organic way. Then COVID happened. When COVID happened, people started thinking how they can adjust their lives in a way that they can live it in the healthiest way possible.
Mhm.
People started doing sport, doing diets, and
Yeah.
even the people who were thinking of investing in a farm in order to avoid quarantine or social distancing
Mhm.
started thinking how to do that investment in a manner that can beneficiate their own health.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came to their minds is this experimentation of Ecodom Maroc, because they started hearing about how our work, and
Mm-hmm.
the first reflex was, if I'm going to build a house, I should do it in a manner that respects my
Yeah.
health, and the best alternative is the services that Ecodom Maroc are providing.
And speaking about that, I would like to know a bit of your cost packages. Is it really cost effective? And how you're able to make these buildings have access to electricity and water, for example?
Well, when we talk about the cost, we can differentiate between two types of cost. There is the cost of investment itself, which means the cost of building, and in regards of this type, we managed to reduce the price up to 30% compared to regular methods such as concrete or steel or wood. The second type of cost is once we start exploiting the house. As I've mentioned earlier, we managed to reduce the energy consumption in the inside of the house, and also we have the ability to control the humidity in a natural manner. Those two aspects have a direct influence on the electricity bill.
Hmm.
So, in the midterm and the long term run, we find ourselves with nearly an autonomous house without any expenses in terms of electricity consumption.
Hmm. That's amazing, honestly. Um, so, what role does hands-on learning play in training your team at Ecodom Maroc?
An important one. Actually, we've been training the workers in regards of all the earthen techniques that we are using.
Hmm.
And this training is basically has two sides. There is the theoretical side in regards of how you dimension the thickness of the wall, the height of the wall, how you can combine between an earth wall and a wood roof, and other details like these. And the second type is on the ground. So you go to build, you do the mixtures, you do the foundation, you build your first wall. While you are supervised by a worker or an artisan who has more experience than you.
Yeah.
And once we judge that the quality of the work that you provide on site is sufficient, is excellent, you join the team as an official member.
Nice. And can you give me approximately how many sustainable buildings have you built?
We've built more than 100 all
Okay.
across Morocco,
Hmm. And people are
up to
living
date.
there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, that's really good. So, talking about learning and trainings, how might education systems need to evolve to support truly sustainable building practices worldwide?
As I've said, they have to start by observing what is happening and what our ancestors used to do,
Hmm.
because through this observation we find our identity that we need to preserve, and we can capitalize on that identity to come up with the procedures and ways, either in the construction sector or in the farming sector or in other sectors. So the first step is to observe, and then try to come up with a scientific methodology that explains what are the advantages of such practice and how we can adjust it to the modern life.
Hmm.
And through that, we can create modules that we can teach through our engineering school or through our economy
Hmm.
school or other types of.
And have you looked into, for example, other countries or other regions that have, uh, for example, a history of methods that they used in their buildings that you could maybe borrow or implement into your own idea?
I would say that the whole African continent share a very rich patrimony in terms of using local raw material. If we go back in history, concrete as a raw material was invented in the 18th century, and it was spread through the imperial movements, the colonization movements, and it came to Africa through the West. But before that, nearly all the African countries used to build using local raw materials. They used to build using local wood, local stone, and local earth.
Hmm.
But once the colonizers came with the concrete, we started perceiving this new material as the future, as
Yeah.
let's say development, as the new way of living,
Hmm.
and we started diminishing the value of our own know-how.
Yeah.
So we need to change this perception and bring back our old techniques of construction because that's what it fits in our own context. We shouldn't copy other techniques coming from other contexts, but we should understand our own context and capitalize on that using the ancestral know-how in a modernized way.
Yeah. And it's really inspiring to see how you're using those solutions in your eco-dome buildings. And really, as you said, it's a change of mindset. When you're able to do that, people are going to accept your solution, and they can really change the way we live, basically.
Exactly.
So it was a nice conversation. I would like to ask you, or ask for your input on something that you would like to highlight, something you would like to mention. Maybe I missed a point here and there. So feel free to add anything you'd like.
There is one message that I want to send through your podcast is that the youth, our generation, has a responsibility to understand our past and understand our present to leave a better future for the future generations.
Yeah.
And it is up to us. I wouldn't say to fix what the past has already done, but to try to create things, procedures, laws that will preserve the current resources for the future generations.
And thank you for channeling this message. I think it's important to reach the youth, and not just the youth, but even people who are working in architecture and whatnot. So thank you so much. And it was a pleasure having you with us today. It was a very fruitful conversation. We learned a lot. And I might need you to build me a dome.
With great pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.